Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Israel Wake Up. This is our Women's Advanced Bible Study, the 7th of May 2026. Okay, we'll be reading 5 chapters on our women's line, and we'll be reading we'll start in Genesis. We'll read chapters 1 through 5. We're gonna read it and then we'll break it down each chapter as we go. Okay, you can go to our YouTube channel to Israel Wake Up. We have over 200 or so videos that you can look at, examine, get the meat out. These videos will lead you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'll be greatly appreciated. Okay, we have our cash out at the bottom of the screen for those that want to support this channel and help it move along. That too would be greatly appreciated. Okay, for those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, from the Book of Genesis to Malachi, and then the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses, our Savior and our Redeemer and our Deliverer, the Lord of Hosts. Okay, this channel was created to aid and assist our Hebrews who are waking up in these final hours to their true identity, and they're also understanding who their Savior and their Redeemer truly is. Shalom and welcome to this channel, and welcome to our Women's Advanced Bible Study. Okay, we're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, songs. We have our Women's Health moment with Michelle. We have some current events, some need to know information. Then we'll open it up for anybody with any questions, any comments, any dialogue, any testimonies. Then we go into our topic for discussion, which is this white man exposed the hidden truth while Americans fear Black Americans. Okay, we're gonna play that and then we're gonna go in on it. Okay, then like I said, our scripture reading we'll be starting at Genesis chapter 1. We'll do 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5 to kick this off, and then like we normally do at the end of all our classes, we're gonna pick a scripture and then we'll read that scripture, then break it down. The purpose of that is for edification, right? Try to cover as much ground as we can every time we come together. Okay. So with that being said, this moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Oh Lord, we come before thee. We appreciate you, oh Lord, for your patience and your guidance in these last days. Oh Lord, we thank you for your awakening of us to this great understanding of your word. And we come before thee that you keep us and guide us through the upcoming week. Oh Lord, for their trials and pestilence and mayhem at every turn. Oh Lord, we see your mighty hand in the world's affairs and how you are constructing your people's deliverance. And we trust and rely upon thee. And for this cause, we honor and respect you greatly. Turn not thy face from us, but allow us in our searching of you to find you in these last days and to dwell with you. Peace be unto you. Okay. With that being said, we're going to read our Psalms.
Shalom, Brother Leonard. Shalom, everyone. I'll be reading Psalms chapter 10, 1 through 18. Why thou, why standest thou afar off, O Lord? Why hidest thou thyself in times of trouble? The wicked in his pride doeth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. For the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire, and blesseth the covetous whom the Lord abhorreth. The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after God. God is not in all his thoughts. Verse 5. His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffed at them. He hath said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. He sitteth in the lurking places of the village. In the secret places doeth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set against the poor. He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doeth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net. Verse 10, he crouched and humbled himself that the poor may fall by his strong ones. He hath said in his heart, God hath forgotten. He hideth his face. He will never see it. Arise, O Lord, O God. Lift up thy hand. Forget not the humble. Wherefore doeth the wicked content God? He hath said in his heart, Thou wilt not require it. Thou hast seen it, for thou beholdest mischief and spite to requite it with thy hand. The poor committeth himself unto thee. Thou art the helper of the fatherless. Break thou the arm of the wicked and the evil man. Seek out his wickedness till thou find one. The Lord is king forever and ever. The heathen are perished out of his land. Lord, thou hast heard the desire of the humble. Thou wilt prepare their heart. Thou wilt cause thine ear to hear. Verse 18, to judge the fatherless and the oppressed, that the man of the earth may no more oppress. That was Psalms chapter 10, 1 through 18. Shalom.
Okay, you got anything on that?
No, sir, not right now.
Okay, so yeah, well, and I'll read that every time I hear it. It's a roadmap on the way for us to conduct ourselves when it's dealing with our neighbors and dealing with our God and our culture. He tells you right there. You don't have to go and listen to what JC telling you, because he's telling you right there what you need to do. Okay. So with that
Yes,
being
sir.
said, okay. So with that being said, we're gonna go to our women's health moment with Michelle.
Yes, sir. Shalom, everyone. Please note that this information is intended for educational use only and should not be considered as medical advice or treatment. Tonight's discussion is on healing foods in the Bible that helps our children. Let's discuss children and the healing they deserve. The healing foods mentioned in the Bible remain highly relevant today, especially for Israelites who live in extreme poverty and famine. These foods include bread,
You okay? Can't hear you. Okay. Hello. 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 Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't know what happened.
Shalom, Brother Leonard. I can't hear you. Can anyone hear?
Yeah. Brittany can hear me. Can anybody else hear me?
Shalom, I can hear you also.
Okay. Anybody
You
else?
can hear Brother Leonard?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So with that being said, I don't know what happened to Michelle, but we'll keep on moving forward. We're gonna go to our current events. Okay. Check this out.
Because I just keep happening over and over. I keep saying it, but I never say anything.
Okay. I mean, okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
What
Shalom.
happened?
I lost internet. My internet just went out.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir. I
Go ahead.
apologize for that. Yes, sir. I'll
Okay.
start over. Excuse
Okay.
me, everyone. Shalom, everyone. Please note that this information is intended for educational use only and should not be considered as medical advice or treatment. Tonight's discussion is on healing foods in the Bible that helps our children. Let's discuss children and the healing they deserve. The healing foods mentioned in the Bible remain highly relevant today, especially for issues like gut health, GERD, reflux, microbiome repair, and picky eating habits. When children are picky eaters, their microbiome can suffer. As Hebrew Israelite women, many seek natural remedies rather than turning to medication. If you're looking for natural solutions, rest assured that effective answers are available. Scripture highlights how simple whole foods can promote digestive health, support enzyme production, and aid in long-term recovery. Let's explore how foods mentioned in the Bible can genuinely benefit our children's gut health. By examining these biblical foods, we can see what people historically consumed, and now we're considering making some changes based on these insights. Let's talk about figs. Figs are an excellent food choice, as you can easily find dried figs at the grocery store. If you have your own fig tree, it might yield more fruit than your entire family could eat. They're very much anti inflammatory for the gut. These treats are sweet and delicious, making them great for kids. You can blend them into smoothies, turn them into a dessert by themselves, or enjoy them as a convenient snack. Additionally, they're a food that supports rebuilding the microbiome. Another beneficial food includes varieties such as sweet potatoes, red potatoes, and baked potatoes, which provide beta glucan. Beta glucan is known for its anti inflammatory properties and supports the body's healing process. Olives are another beneficial food option. Consuming high quality olives or olive oil may offer anti inflammatory effects. These foods are all notable for their high fiber content, abundance of polyphenols, and anti inflammatory properties. Honey is another great option. If you can source honey from a local beekeeper, that's ideal. Its sweetness is appealing, and there are plenty of ways to use it. Additionally, combining a small amount of honey with warm water or herbal tea may help relieve acid reflux. Barley and lentils are excellent for healing the gut, helping with that diversity in the gut. Adding lentils and barley into soups might be a little stretch for some kids, but you'd be surprised when you start eating healthy as a family and you eliminate a lot of processed foods from the house. Look for as many foods as possible in the garden and involve your children in growing them. If we eliminate many of the processed or highly altered foods that have become part of their diets, we address one of the main sources of harm in the first place. I will be reading from the book of Psalms, chapter 113, verse 9. The high and glorious Lord. Verse 9. He maketh the barren woman to keep house and to be a joyful mother of children. Praise ye the Lord. Tonight's discussion was on healing foods in the Bible that helps our children. And I read from the book of Psalms, chapter 113 and verse 9, the high and glorious Lord. Shalom, everyone.
Okay. Appreciate that information and everything that you're doing. Okay. So with that being said, we'll go to our current events, right? We're gonna we're gonna go to our current event, and then we'll play video, and then we'll break it down as we go. Okay. So with that being said, here we go.
Buckle up, guys. I just keep happening over and over. I keep seeing it, but I never say anything about it. But I'm going to be open to what's really I've been seeing. Listen, I know that God is working on our behalf. We all know that. We know that God is pouring out his blessings on us. We know that. We understand that. But I'm in the era. I'm not going to say we. I'm at a spot after seeing all the miracles and stuff that God worked in my life, and I see them. I'm at a spot to where I've never seen anything like I'm seeing with the outside world. Y'all, when I go in Walmart, like I said on the video before, when I go in Walmart, I'm walking around, y'all, and I don't mean this in no ill way and no kind of ill way, but I'm just telling the truth. And I guess this is the way we learn. Somebody else, I'm sure other people are experiencing this. I goes into Walmart, and I see a lot of people walking around, but to me, my spirit tells me, really, they're not even real. If y'all would bear with me, please. Y'all, I've been around people that I picked up good spirits from. I've been around people that I picked bad spirits from. But y'all, I'm looking at all these people, and to me, I'm gonna be honest with you, it seemed like they appear out of nowhere. Let me show you something. I tested this the other day. I had to test it because God gives us a little bit at a time to show us things. We at a spot now like we ain't never been before. Manifestations are being, our gates are being opened. Something is being revealed. You remember when God told Daniel, when Daniel was asking him about something, God told Daniel, he said, go your way, Daniel. He said, you will be resting in your lot, meaning that you will be asleep during this time. He said, it's not for you to even know right now. A lot of stuff now is being revealed to us. I'm in Walmart. Y'all, I picked this up. Okay, let me tell you what happened. One of the times I was in there. I'm in Walmart, and there was this old man, a white man, and he was just walking around behind me. And I could tell too by this. It's like they're really eager. It's like they're really looking for something. But please stay with me. Here was this old man behind me, old white man. He was just had a little cart, and he was just running around. But he was behind me, and I'm trying to get away from it. I just don't want you behind me because I don't. It's a spirit that I'm not familiar with, and I don't want to be a part of me. Y'all, it got to the point to where I went to just like this. It's to keep him away from me. And I did a little bit. I tried to move up, and then he walked by me. Then he found it because I stopped and I got out his way. That man did not stop until he walked up there. Oh, excuse me, and patted me twice. And that I rebuked that. I did not like that, period.
Best way to fix prostate problems? Saw pump.
Okay.
Yesterday, I was in Walmart. I didn't want this particular food I looked at, but I'm just thinking about it. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking about it. The same thing happened, but this time it was a little old white lady. She ran up behind me and she had picked it up, and then I said, wait, this is the same pattern I've been seeing. It's something wrong. I was just listening to this one video of this lady. And matter of fact, I'm gonna see if I can get it for you. Or maybe some of you all know which video I'm talking about, but she's standing in the street and she's saying, y'all, don't no cars come down this road. She said, the road is blocked off. She said, I was trying to tell y'all that people just appear out of nowhere. And she's standing in the street and a whole bunch of cars is coming back to back, but the road is blocked off. She said, what we're seeing is not really what's there. So like I said, we're in a different era. And I did want to bring that up because I'm sure that someone out there has experienced or knows something about what I'm trying to say here. Okay, I love you.
Uncle Willie be coming with these stories, man. But look, this isn't it, guys. We haven't even gotten into it yet, for real. I don't know about you, but I've seen some weird stuff in Walmart. Like, especially, you know, when you go there later in the evening, it's like always some weird, I don't know if it's tweakers, maybe it's people that are demonically possessed, but it's always some weird, creepy vibes in Walmart. You know, especially the later you go. Now, back when I used to get high and I'd be up all night, I'd go to Walmart overnight. You know, they don't stay open 24 hours a day here where I'm at anymore, but I would go there overnight back when they used to, way before COVID and all that. And I'd see people just standing in the aisles, just leaning sideways, just standing there frozen. And it's just weird to see stuff like that. Like, what is going on? Now, I want to read you some of these comments because I'm not the only one. This person right here says the energy in Walmart is bad, and there's 1,900 likes on that, almost 2,000 likes on that. So people also agree. Then the comment underneath that says Walmart is so weird, and not everyone is going to understand. I went there not too long ago, and the whole parking lot was packed with cars and people outside. But once we went inside, it was almost empty. Just didn't make sense at all. 1,600 likes on that. Weird stuff going on. Now, it's funny that she mentions Walmart parking lot. I'm going to play this video right here where there's something mentioned about Walmart's parking lot being a demonic portal. Now, I'm not saying any of this is true, guys. We're just going to say that this is for entertainment purposes only. But let's watch this video.
Hear me out, y'all. This gonna sound wild. But you know I'm gonna get you to think every time. Do y'all think there are portals in Walmart, or at least in the Walmart parking lot? I promise y'all, be some strange shit every time I go to that damn store. Meanwhile, I keep carrying my ass over there. But something about that place is not normal. I'm not just talking about the fact that they make us bag our own shit and get up too, and harass us at the door for the receipt. Like you ain't just watch me do this shit. If you ever just sit and observe some shit, you're gonna notice there's some strange beings at Walmart, as well as some strange energy. So December 2024, I pull into Walmart parking lot. I got my youngest daughter Jada with me in the passenger seat. Before I get out the car, I'm like, let me make sure I got all my cards, my keys, everything in my purse. So I'm looking down, fidgeting in my purse, and something just tells me to look up. I glanced over at the lady standing in the parking lot. I just give it a quick glance, make sure everything copacetic, and I go back to minding my business. Right before I was about to stop looking at these ladies, I noticed something. This lady's smile went from ear to ear. Y'all know that movie Smile? Yeah. She looked just like that. I know I'll be in my own universe. Speaking of which, click the link in my bio if you want to go to yours too. With that being said, I was like, I'm not that up there. No, I'm not tripping. So I slowly turned to my daughter like, did you see that? She was already looking at me and I'm like, girl, did you see that? She's like, yeah, I saw that. Now I know I wasn't tripping. Now, as we discussing this shit, now we don't see where the lady is. She's not walking in the store. She never got in a car and drove away. She just wasn't there. Needless to say, I drove my ass to the other Walmart across town. I wasn't shook or none of that. I chose not to interact with that type of energy. It was giving real demonic. But I'm not the only one who has strange encounters at Walmart. There have been many people who reported people glitching and shit, shadowy figures, eerie presences. Like I said, if you pay attention long enough, you're gonna see people appearing or disappearing out of nowhere, just like that lady did. Also, I heard about a time distortion phenomena that happens at Walmart. You ever went into Walmart and felt like the time just disappeared? You walk in thinking you're gonna be there for just a few minutes, but then you look up and 2 hours done passed. You like, how?
Stranger in Walmart, like, why are you touching me? And then she says something about harvesting energy. Right now, with the millions of people that go in and out of Walmart every day, if someone were to try to harvest some energy theoretically, because I know that people do that, like the Travis Scott concert and all these other like concerts with these demonic artists, they do harvest energy at places. Why wouldn't they do it at Walmart? I want to show you some information that I found on the logo of Walmart because I had no clue that this was could be posed as demonic. I looked up what the logo means on Google or whatever, but I want to show you this video and then I want to show you what Google says about it.
If you do 25 leg raises a day, your apron belly will go.
I'm going to mute that because they got copyright music, but they're saying it's a sun god symbolism, right? Now, we know that they're calling this the spark nowadays, but at least that's what Walmart's calling it, but it does kind of eerily look like sun rays now that I've seen this, right? And this person right here says it also represents tunnel boring machines. I don't know what that's about. We'll look into that in a moment, but I want to show you this. I looked this up. I just simply typed in Walmart logo demonic, and it says claims that the Walmart logo is demonic are part of conspiracy theories or fringe criticism, often linked to religious objections against the company's merchandising, rather than any official recognized meaning of the logo itself. the spark symbolism. Official explanation is that Walmart rebranded in 2008 to a blue font with a yellow spark symbol, which is intended to represent a spark of inspiration, light bulb moments, and the company's core values: service, respect, excellence, integrity, innovation, and commitment. Perceptions. Some critics have discussed the spark as a weird little asterisk flower or have scrutinized it for supposedly being a subversive use of sacred symbolism. Controversy over merchandise, so demonic merchandise, yeah, they do that definitely, just like Target does. And then we see people doing stuff like this, comparing the Walmart Spark to the Google Chrome logo, which they're saying is 3.6 and 666, which I definitely see that. But I don't necessarily see this. Now I do know that this is six sparks, a six-pointed star of some sorts, and we know what that means. That's definitely Satan, right there. So do with that what you will. Now here are images of Walmart's logo looking like a boring machine. Have you heard about the underground tunnels across the world? Here is the machine used to make them. Oh, and the Walmart logo. So, do with that what you will as well. Now, this video right here, I don't believe this is Walmart, but it's still some freaky stuff going on in here. And I just wanted to share this one with you as we round out to a close in this video.
So can we talk about this creepy video that came out of Mexico? So this TikToker that works security explains how he's seen and felt things that he can't explain. But at 3:20 in the morning, after securing the building, he sees something, but he just can't quite catch it on camera. That is, until he does. And viewers were quick to point out that it looks like it disappears. But let me know what you think.
No, ya no se va a ver nada. Ya no se va a ver nada porque lo que se mira acá de este lado es la pantalla que está prendida. Ahí arriba, esa. De ahí en más, pues estoy solo, les digo, estoy todo solo ahorita.
Okay, what you think? Anybody got any comments on that? They had any experiences in Walmart?
Shalom, Brother Leonard. Shalom, everyone. Yes, sir. I know when I go to Walmart, somehow I'm in there for longer than I need to be.
Okay.
That's one of the things I can say.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So yeah. So with that being said, but so you gotta pay attention to that sign though. That is a symbol of that Walmart symbol is symbol of the sun. You know what I mean? And those people, that's when you go back in the ancient times, that's what they worship, the sun. Okay. That's what comes team worship. Okay. But anyway, let me give you. We're gonna go to this here and check it out.
In workforce economics and industrial policy, I have never seen anything quite like what I'm about to show you. And I want to be upfront that some of what follows represents my analysis of documented events rather than settled consensus. But the numbers do not lie. And what happened in the space of 72 hours between Washington and Ottawa may be the most expensive insult in the history of North American labor relations. Right now, at this very moment, there are pipeline sections in Texas that cannot be welded. There are steel columns in Manhattan that cannot be set. There's a nuclear reactor in Pennsylvania that cannot be maintained. And it all traces back to a single press conference, a single paragraph, and a handful of words that a president should never have said. If you think this story does not affect you, wait until you see what it costs. A reporter asked a straightforward question about the bilateral skilled labor agreements that have quietly held American industrial construction together for decades. What came back was not policy, it was contempt. The president said Canadian workers were overrated. He said they should be grateful America let them in. He said every single one of them was replaceable. By Tuesday, those were the words: overrated, grateful, replaceable. By Tuesday, within 3 hours, Canada responded. Not with diplomatic protest, not with a strongly worded letter, with a surgical, pre-prepared, devastating counter-move. The Canadian Department of Labor issued a formal advisory recommending that all Canadian skilled tradespeople working on American projects return home within 30 days. The bilateral labor mobility agreements were suspended immediately. Expedited work permits were announced for Canadian workers seeking employment in Canada, the European Union, the United Kingdom, Australia, and the Gulf states. And then came the move that changed everything. A $20,000 retention bonus funded entirely from tariff revenue collected on American imports, paid to any Canadian tradesperson who came home and committed to domestic work for 2 years. Read that again. Canada used American tariff money to pay its workers to leave American job sites. The message could not have been clearer. If you do not want them, the rest of the world does, and we will pay them to come home. What followed was not a slowdown, it was a collapse. In Texas, a single pipeline crew lost 14 certified welders in one day. These were not general laborers you could replace with a job posting. These were journeymen holding specialized welding certifications in pressure pipeline applications, certifications that fewer than 500 people across all of North America are qualified to hold. The project manager called every pipeline contractor in the region. The answer was the same everywhere. No available welders. No available welders for the past 2 years. In Pennsylvania, a nuclear reactor maintenance shutdown was postponed indefinitely after the Canadian specialist team responsible for reactor vessel internals was recalled home. The utility informed federal regulators the delay would last between 4 and 6 months. The cost for one team at one facility was estimated at $75 million. In Louisiana, a liquefied natural gas terminal expansion that was 7 months from completion stopped entirely. The Canadian crane operators and pipe fitting crews who had been on site for 2 years packed their tools and drove north. The project completion date is now listed as unknown. The cost overrun filed with state regulators is $400 million. In Manhattan, an iron worker crew of 11 Canadians who had worked together as a unit for 8 years walked off a high-rise project on a Wednesday morning. Their site superintendent, an American with 25 years in New York construction, said he stood in the construction elevator afterward and stared at the floor for 5 minutes. He had spent 3 years trying to find an American crew with the same efficiency and the same safety record. He never found one. It is measured in what the world now understands about the gap between American political messaging and American industrial reality. The Construction Industry Association's projection that total cost from the Canadian worker departure will exceed $8 billion within the first year if the agreements are not restored is staggering enough on its own. $8 billion because a president went on television and called skilled workers overrated. But beyond the direct cost, beyond the project delays and wage premiums and postponed shutdowns, something irreversible has happened. The insult made these workers visible. Before the president spoke, most Americans had no idea that tens of thousands of Canadian tradespeople were embedded in the American industrial workforce. They went to work, they did their jobs. They trained American apprentices and coached baseball teams and ate lunch at the same delis for 6 years running. Nobody outside the construction and energy industries knew or cared. The insult changed that. Every stalled project became a proof point. Every cost overrun became an invoice for the contempt. Every delayed timeline became a precise measurement of exactly how replaceable these workers were, which is to say, not at all. The president said he could replace them by Tuesday. The pipeline in Texas is still waiting.
Okay. Anybody got any comments on that? Sound like handmade to me, but anybody got any comments on it? Okay, so he opened his mouth against Canada, and then not come to find out that pretty much all the skilled labor that's here in America is coming out of Canada. And they retracted all of them. Okay, that sounds.
Shalom, everyone. Yes, sir. Sorry, I was trying to get my mic together to respond to the Canadian. The lumber also is a big part that's coming through from Canada.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Anybody else got anything on that? So people all need to know information. I thought this is pretty big, so check it out. Let's see if I can get some feedback.
It's the real deal, the master key prototype that...
After I play it.
it has now been confirmed that hantavirus is inside the United States. Look at this. It says hantavirus infected cruise ship. Americans among dozens of passengers who disembarked after start of outbreak. Latest updates. We now know there are hantavirus infected people here inside the United States that are being monitored. This is concerning. They're in Georgia, in Texas, and in the state of California. That is just what we know as of right now. But according to reports, their family members, their friends, everybody that they've been in contact with are now being tracked and traced. This is a huge escalation from where we just were 2 days ago when many health officials said this is a very rare occurrence. It likely will not come into the United States because it is over in the ocean. Well, these people disembarked before they even knew there was a hantavirus crisis on this cruise. And now many countries are extremely concerned. Listen to this.
Okay, we are all over this story for you. Breaking this morning, Dutch authorities say a flight attendant who was in touch with a woman who died from hantavirus in South Africa has been admitted to a hospital after showing symptoms. There are also new reports that some of the Americans who were on board that ship plagued by an outbreak for days have returned back home. Well, now there's growing worry that they may have brought the rare and deadly virus back with them. Nick.
Think about that for a second. We were being told here in the United States, there's no concern. Everything's just fine. The ship was over in the sea, right? They weren't disembarking. Everybody was being very precautious. But the concern was, what if somebody didn't show symptoms of the hantavirus? Keeping in mind, you could be asymptomatic for weeks, and then you get hit with the virus. Then it becomes visible, and now you're showing symptoms. That's the concern. Look at this, though. We continue to see the same results. Now, could they have just told everybody, yes, it's possible, this is a concern, we are treating this at the utmost importance? They should have. But did they say that? No, they said this is very rare, it's highly unlikely, right? No need to worry. You heard a lot of those phrases. Now people are worried. Is this the next COVID? Is this the next pandemic that we need to be concerned with? Before I was telling you, well, it's very rare. It's probably not going to turn into a thing, but we will monitor it. Guess what? We are now monitoring it every single morning, and it's only getting worse.
Okay. Anybody heard of this? What you think?
Shalom, brother, shalom. Yeah, I just heard of it yesterday, how they the people that were on the cruise ship when they docked, and a lot of them went to Spain too, and that the virus was here. I have a friend that works at the CDC, and they can only tell but so much, but she was like, better be careful because they're not telling you who it is, but they have some kind of virus going on. And she didn't say the hunters, but she said a virus. Shalom.
Anybody else?
Shalom, everyone. Yes, I think it was sometime last year, around this time or a little towards to June, they were saying about making a antivirus vaccination for a new virus that was coming up, and there were like 50,000 or so was already made. So I'm thinking maybe they're ready to have people start getting vaccinated with this shot that they made to come up, and by using this virus here to get people to start taking the shots.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yes, sir. Shalom. Brother Leonard, seemed like to me, they always try to come up with something to get us in a panic, right? So this Hannes virus, they're saying is coming from rodents, right? They're droppings. And They said that I think like 3 people have died already from this. The first one was in April, like that second week in April or something like that. So they have people that's also in Germany, people that's here in America that they say that has it, and it takes anywhere from 1 to 8 weeks. So my thing is, I just think that they're trying to get us in an uproar because this Hana's virus is something that started over in Korea
Okay.
in like the 60s or 70s or something like that. When I
Okay.
done some research over it, and it's named after a river where these rodents was at. But the thing, maybe you can explain this to me, Brother Leonard, that I don't understand. They're saying that that area was very had a lot of volcano eruptions, right? So if that's the case, how are rodents living there? That's the thing that sort of puzzles me, is when they explain these things and where it comes from, and you tell me that the volcanic activity is very high there. I just wonder how these rodents live in that area and can be carrying that virus.
Okay.
It's just strange to me. And again, I think it's just something that they're just trying to get everybody in a uproar, on, again, when it comes to different things. I think they just try different tactics.
Right. Well, you go back and look at what they did with the jab. They got to find some kind of way to introduce it. So it could be that the way they're trying to introduce it is nefarious, or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Yes,
But
sir.
I got some more information on that. Let me play it.
Okay.
So we're going to be covering the states that are currently on alert in the United States for hantavirus, the Andes variant, which we hear spreads person to person. This is a very, very deadly virus, 40% mortality rate, as we're hearing that passengers from that ship that were infected with that virus are back in the United States. 7 of them. We're going to be covering which states and what is currently underway right now. As we're hearing, this also has been confirmed to spread to 6 countries. And there are cases with individuals that were not on that ship, but have been exposed to people that were. Let's take a look at the latest headlines that I'm going to go through.
Notice how they did the same thing with the jab. This they were introducing it.
Right.
Timeline for you so you can understand what is unfolding here, how this already has gotten out of hand, and currently what the next steps are going to be with the list of the 5 U.S. states that currently have people from the ship back in the United States already. Let's go ahead and take a look at the latest headlines so you can see it for yourself. Some hantavirus cruise passengers, they are back in the United States. It turns out 26 passengers already disembarked the ship at St. Helena on April 24th. This was before they were aware that the hantavirus Andes variant was aboard. They had already let them off. So people were saying, now that we know that this ship is infected, don't let them off the boat. Turns out people already had disembarked. Now, take a look at more of the headlines coming out today, May 7th, 2026. The U.S. is monitoring the hantavirus cruise passengers. Dozens left the ship after the first death had already occurred. It also emerged Thursday that a flight attendant was being tested for the hantavirus at a hospital in Amsterdam. So this morning we're hearing more infections, and these are people that were not on the boat, but they are people that have been exposed to these individuals that were on the boat. The CDC is now urging all Americans that were aboard the hantavirus hit cruise ship to follow guidance. Now, California is one of those. California, among the 3 states currently monitoring residents who were aboard the hantavirus cruise ship. Now, this particular article says 3. We're now hearing there's actually 5 U.S. states. Virginia, traveler from the hantavirus-stricken cruise ship has returned home, officials say. The Virginia Department of Health says one Virginia traveler who was aboard the cruise ship hit by the deadly hantavirus outbreak has returned home and is under public health monitoring at this time. And again, you can see the date on this as the news is pouring in. May 7th, 2026. This is coming out today. Here is another one. From the US to Singapore, cruise passengers are being monitored for the hantavirus. This updated 17 minutes ago, as today we're getting new updates that the people already left the ship before they realized that it was the hantavirus. And this is some of the alarming news coming out today as well. Take a look. A French person is being monitored after cruise patients had evacuated. Now, why is this so concerning? Take a look here. A French person who had not set foot on the hantavirus-stricken MV Hondias is being monitored as a contact case for the infection after taking a flight with a passenger. It was reported on Wednesday, so one of the people that left the cruise ship, they're saying was infected. This person sat next to them in the plane, and they are now saying this French individual has been infected with the hantavirus. It is confirmed because this is the Andes variant, which is transferred person to person. Now, to understand what is unfolded here, let's go through the timeline very quickly before we dive into the video footage that's been coming out today, before we dive into the articles. So to give you an idea of how things have unfolded, this goes back to March 20th. This was in Argentina, so this is from Argentina, where they say the hantavirus originates from, and that particular strain can be found there. A southern Atlantic excursion began on March 20th. It has already passed through small islands throughout the southern Atlantic. So yes, they were stopping at various locations. This might have already spread to other locations, islands. Now, April 11th, there was a 70-year-old man that passed away aboard, and you're going to be seeing the video footage here in just a little bit. They were not aware of the fact that it was the hantavirus. They thought that he just passed from natural causes. They told everybody on the ship that it was okay, and they thought that things were fine. April 12th through the 20th, the ship docked at St. Helena, which is a remote British island. They took the man off of the ship, and they also had his wife with him, who had also became very ill and needed to be hospitalized. Shortly after, she passed away after they had docked. Then on April 27th, a week later, the ship docks at Ascension Island, and there is a second person aboard this ship that is sick. That person ended up dying shortly after, and then was confirmed to be the hantavirus, the Andes variant. Then they checked the other people that had passed, they had it as well. All the while, people have been getting on and off the ship since March 20th, which they believe that the original people, the first man that passed away, was the original person that contracted it. And all this time, he's been infected, likely infecting others that are now infecting others as well. Now, when we had heard this news just this past week that they were saying they weren't going to let them off the ship, they're saying, well, there actually have been 23 people that got off the ship back on April 27th. And they are already back all over in various places around the world. We're hearing in Australia, we're hearing in Europe, and in the United States, 7 individuals already back here in the United States. Now, there were 17 Americans aboard that ship, so there are 10 that are still stuck. Just go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It's totally free. Why not? I'll keep you up to speed on everything. Hit the like button. All the articles I'm going to be referencing are going to be linked in the description, but I don't think anybody probably is going to be questioning the validity of this. It is all over the news today. A lot of people are very concerned, especially after what we had several years ago with the COVID pandemic. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of the updates to get you caught up on a lot of the news that's starting to pour in today, May 7, 2026, on the hantavirus.
This morning, health officials are tracing the contact.
So notice how they know just, now they got it down pat. They know just how to lay it out, make it smooth compared to the first time.
So passengers who were on a cruise ship with a deadly virus. Officials in Georgia say they are monitoring 2 American passengers who recently came home. Another is being watched in Arizona. So the ship is now heading toward the Canary Islands in the Atlantic, but it may not be allowed to dock. Tom Hansen is here with the latest. Tom, this saga is a nightmare, ongoing nightmare for these poor people. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Gail. So many developments here. More than 24 passengers who were on the infected ship disembarked nearly 2 weeks after the first passenger died of the deadly virus, according to the ship's operator. Now, meanwhile, health officials in Arizona and Georgia say none of their residents who were on the ship are showing signs of infection. U.S. health officials are monitoring Americans who were aboard the MV Hondius but departed before the ship went into quarantine. The MV Hondius is less than 1 day into a 3 to 4 day journey from Cape Verde to the Canary Islands, and already the plan to get the nearly 150 passengers off the boat is facing pushback. The Tenerife mayor says his island is ill-equipped to handle the aid needed to be administered to the passengers and warns that allowing the ship to dock could pose a greater health risk for the local population. So far, at least 8 people on board are believed to have been infected with the hantavirus. 3 of those cases have been confirmed, 3 passengers have died, and 1 is in critical condition. And now the Dutch Health Ministry is reporting a stewardess is in the hospital after showing possible symptoms of hantavirus. She was not on the cruise, but had reportedly been in contact with a woman who died from the virus. Ruhi Jeanette was a passenger on the cruise. He recorded this video of the captain announcing the first death days later.
One of our passengers sadly passed away last night. Tragic as it is, it was due to natural causes, we believe.
Following the captain's announcement, Jeanette said the passengers on board continued with social activities.
He said it was due to natural causes and we are not infectious. This was relaxing at the time, but it was also misguiding us. Because
clearly so many questions here. Now, Oceanwide Expedition, which operates the cruise ship, issued a statement saying in part, at the time of the announcement, no evidence of a virus or contagion was present on the vessel. Now, the State Department told CBS News it is monitoring the situation and is in close contact with the cruise ship and health authorities regarding the status of the American passengers, guys.
Oh boy, Tom, thank you so much. Medical correspondent Dr. Celine Gounder is here. She's also editor-at-large for public health at KFF Health News. Celine, good to have you here because this is very frightening for many people who are listening to this. So we just heard about the Dutch stewardess who's hospitalized. What are they doing now to trace contacts from her and other people?
Yeah, so the Department of State from the U.S. perspective is leading our response. As we have heard, about 7 Americans who were on the ship are back in states including 2 in Georgia, 1 in Arizona. The CDC has activated their Emergency Operations Center, which shows that they're taking this seriously, and is sending passenger lists to state and local health departments to track those people down and follow up. If they are quarantining the passengers as they did for us for Ebola, so I was
If the American passengers seek medical care in the United States, hospitals should be prepared to receive them and take appropriate precautions, sources said. The CDC also has stood up an incident management response, as would be typical. The CDC also has stood up an incident management response, as would be typical for an event like this. Official media.
Okay, any feedback on that so far? I got one more little video.
Shalom, everyone. Yes, sir. By them speaking on this here, they're not saying about the crew, the workers. If this is a rodent problem, it's giving this disease to these people of having it. What about the people who maintain the ship? Now we're saying the ship is bad. The ship is not clean because it has this. These people who are dying have died from this hantavirus that they're having, and it's due from rodents. So the ship is not clean. They haven't mentioned that. And also they haven't mentioned about a vaccine because there is none. I was looking it up. They haven't gotten it yet. And people in the United States and in South America, Africa is currently working on a vaccine for it. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, well, I think this is going to clean up a lot of it.
Hantavirus on a cruise ship, and that's led to the death of some passengers. So what do we know about this virus?
What is hantavirus?
Well, hantavirus, it's named after a river in South Korea, and that word, hantavirus, really describes a sort of family of viruses. Around
20 viral species have been identified according to the World Health Organization. It's not just one infection. It's really serious, but it's also relatively rare, and it's linked to exposure to rats and mice. The risk is typically highest when someone's doing something like, for example, cleaning out a building that's had a rodent infestation. So most of the human cases are reported in rural settings, such as forests, fields, or farms, where rodents are present, and that means the opportunities for exposure are greatest.
Where could this outbreak have come from?
That's a really, really important question, and the answer is we don't yet know. All the cases are linked to this cruise ship, the MV Hondias, which set sail from the very southern tip of Argentina at the very beginning of April. But the first two fatalities, who were a Dutch couple, they're reported to have travelled through South America before boarding the ship.
Ain't that when they had the thing at the UN about the what happened with the transatlantic slave trade? Wasn't it America? Wasn't it Israel, America, and Argentina?
Yes, sir, I believe so.
Okay, ain't that something?
Now that's really important because it's possible that one or both of them came into contact with the virus during their travels. And one version of the virus, known as Andes virus, that's been identified as causing infection in humans in both Argentina and in Chile. So, for example, in late 2018, there was an Argentinian outbreak that was traced back to people who'd all gone to the same party. A single person with the virus led to 34 confirmed cases and 11 deaths.
How does it spread? Is it airborne?
Yeah, it is slightly airborne. So it's transmitted actually by rodents, typically rats and mice, through their dried urine and the droppings, which are then blown into the air and inhaled. That's where it is slightly airborne. So mostly, yes, it is spread from rodents, but there have been these relatively rare cases of human-to-human transmission of this virus known as the Andes virus.
What are the symptoms?
Well, the virus can cause two really severe illnesses. The first is called hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, and it often starts with sort of flu-like symptoms, really. You can get fatigue, fever, muscle aches, then followed by headaches, dizziness, chills, upset stomachs. But then, this is where it starts to get very serious. You get respiratory symptoms develop. So, for example, breathlessness. And the mortality...
Sound like jab to me.
Rate associated with this type of illness is around 38%. So more than a third of the people, according to the Center for Disease Control of the United States, will die if they get that type of the virus. The second illness is called hemorrhagic fever with renal syndrome, and this is even more severe and primarily affects the kidneys. So later symptoms can include low blood pressure, internal bleeding, and also acute kidney failure. The mortality rate for this version is 50%, so half the people who get it are likely to die.
Who should be more worried? Is it more dangerous if an old person catches it?
Well, obviously, if you're older or frail, or even if you have underlying health conditions, any sort of serious infection like this could have devastating consequences. So it's pretty serious, however old or young you are.
How do you test for it?
So there are currently some cases that have been confirmed and some that are still suspected, but the way you test for it is what's called a PCR test. Now, people may remember these from the COVID pandemic when you might have a swab inside your cheek or up your nose. What it is a molecular biology technique that can quickly amplify or copy specific DNA segments, and that can create millions or even billions of copies from a very, very minute sample. And that allows, in other words, genetic testing.
What's the treatment if you do have it?
So there is no specific treatment or indeed vaccinations for hantavirus infections. Instead, medical teams will be supporting and treating the symptoms of the infection, things like breathlessness, for example, and that's called supportive care. So that might include everything from oxygen therapy, mechanical ventilation, antiviral treatments, even dialysis if you have the most serious version of the illness which can affect your kidneys.
So will we have another lockdown? Is this like coronavirus 2.0?
It's obviously still a really serious situation for those who remain on board the cruise ship. There must be a lot of worry about more cases emerging among the remaining passengers and the crew on board. But the World Health Organization says that currently the risk to the global population is low. But public health experts are going to continue to monitor and assess that situation. That risk assessment will be updated if they think it's necessary. So at the moment, no, I think we are a long way from a lockdown, and this really doesn't look like a coronavirus moment. It's understandable why people might worry about that. We all remember the beginning of the COVID pandemic when cruise ships in particular seemed to be vulnerable to infections like this. But I'd say we're still some way off that kind of emergency.
The person who invented this cleaning.
Okay, what do you think? Anybody got any final thoughts?
Shalom, everyone. This is very interesting. The last clip that we just heard about this version of the hantavirus, the Andes, it is very interesting. I was looking it up when I heard about it. I was wondering why it was all over the news. It's the hantaviruses have been with us for many years. And like this last clip said, it's the only one that they know that humans can spread it to other humans. So if all the other ones, if you get it from a rat, that's it. You get it and you just deal with it like the flu, but you can't give it to anybody else. This version of it is very weird because they find it in people's blood, in their spit, in their urine, and they even find it in male semen. So apparently it can be a sexually transmitted virus. And it's interesting to me, the video said what I had read earlier is that you almost have to be in close contact with people for quite some time. But conveniently, that's exactly what they're doing on a ship in close contact for quite some time. So it seems to me like an experiment, but that's just my belief, like this was planned. Shalom.
Yeah. So it's like Michelle said originally, it was spot on about the rats. So it's about the rats, and so it's been. You can tell it's been tampered with because now it's human to human. So it's been tampered with, just like like I said, these people know right where to go to do what they're gonna do. While we sitting around partying and fumbling bullshit, this is the kind of stuff the kind of information they gather, like with the bats. They knew just where to go to set it up and say that it came from the bats, and now they know just where to go to set this up and say it came from the rats. They pros at that. So that's how that goes. So like I was saying, when Michelle originally mentioned it, it was spot on the rats. Okay. So with that being said, anybody else got anything on that?
So just one moment on one thing. Again, I can't see just 3 people getting sick if that's being able to spread it as such as they say, or why the ship has to be dirty. Something had to happen from them being on it for that long of a time, and then he happened to get they sailed in how many weeks they were on the water, for this person to get sick and then die. How long has it been? Did he get on sick or what? So they really are not really saying too much because, like I said, if you're in close quarters with people, you have the captain, you have the people working there, you have the food that's being served, the kitchen, things should be clean. If they're going to say about rats.
Right. You gotta call it for what it is. Is JC real?
No, he's not the savior.
Look how they set him up. They're doing the same thing with this. Like I said, they understood about the history of that, whatever that is, over there in this river where they said where the rats is at. That's they hook. But it's been tampered with in a lab. But that's a way to clean it up and make everything look smooth. Because like I said, we see movies and all that kind of stuff. How rats you know, rats in the restaurant and all that, and we ain't had no hantavirus. Now all of a sudden it's a hantavirus. It's something that happened. And then just so happened they got biological labs all over the place. Come on.
Shalom, everyone. Shalom, brother. And they talk about there's no antivirus or nothing to cure it. It's like it's unto death if you're sick and if you already have some type of immune system thing that I guess you can die sooner than others or whatever.
Right.
And they haven't gone on television like broadcasting this.
It's the same
coming.
playbook.
Right,
Same
it's
playbook.
coming. Mm-hmm. It's coming.
Right, yeah. They did the same thing with the coronavirus. Nobody didn't take it serious at first. They're setting it up. Like I say, they gotta set it up. They're giving you all this information right here, telling you all this stuff. They're setting it up. For, you know. So
Shalom. Shalom too. And with this food shortage and all of that, and get your food and stuff, so they know they'll have people stuck in their houses and not coming out to get the food. It sounds just like the COVID.
Right, exactly. And another thing to me, when you look at it, you gotta understand is this a controlled demo job on the United States. This is another part of it, another phase of it. They saw what they got away with the jab, so now they can use this to finish off what they're doing with the United States.
That sounds Shalom. That sounds connected because again they say there's no cure.
Right.
So now they want you to, really panic. And if it's no cure, then if somebody want to do a purge, they can do a purge or whatever.
And they already got they already know the information they gathered from the first time. So they like I said, they were a whole lot more better at what they get ready to do because they already did it before. They already had a trial run. Okay.
Shalom, Brother Leonard. I was thinking about this too. We have cruise ships that bring merchandise from all over the world, all different countries, right? And like you said, we know when they bring this food from different countries and so forth, even material goods, that there are mice and rats and everything else on these ships, right? So like you said, we've never heard of this before when it comes to the cargo ships.
Exactly.
So come on now.
Oh yeah. And then we know they got a serious problem in the major cities, like especially in New York and with the restaurants. With
Right.
rats. Now all of a sudden the rats doing this and the rats doing that. That's they set up.
Right.
They set us up the same way with COVID.
Shalom.
With the jab.
Yes, sir. Shalom. Yes, and they only mention Americans. They haven't said anybody else, but people from the United States.
Oh yeah.
They just mentioned them. So no other, nobody else got it but the Americans. And then since the Americans came back home to America, so that's how, to push it up.
Right. They mention other people. They mention other people. They mentioned, I think if I'm not mistaken, they mentioned 3 Americans. They said 8 people, 3 of them was Americans. And then they mentioned,
Right, but those other people didn't pass away.
Well, I'm talking about people that supposedly can transport it. Right now, they got 3 people that came to America that's still alive that they're saying may have it. They transport it.
Yes, sir, but I thought they distinctly said they were Americans. Or did I hear that not?
Yeah, they said Americans, but they're still alive. And not only that, they left the boat before all this was found out. Anybody else get that?
I did. And did
Yes,
anybody
sir.
see what that boat looked like? I mean, that boat didn't look the best either.
No.
That cruise ship did. I don't know if
Yeah,
anybody saw a picture of it, but that cruise ship
yeah,
didn't look the
the whole
best.
thing, the whole thing is set up. You guys,
Right.
It looked like a cargo ship or something.
It did. Yes, ma'am.
and ain't that something? A cruise ship. Come on now, go look, second Exodus. Come on, let that something. Let that frame rate. Okay, but anyway, anybody else got anything on that?
Shalom. Just with everything being said, it's very interesting to me to see where they go with this.
Right.
Because again, when I was reading, these hunter viruses were known about years ago. People in the military would get sick, and that's why they know it comes from rats, because they saw things happening. Men would be down, and the excrement, the feces from the rats,
Right.
like they said, would be in the air. They would get sick. So all these years later, we know it's from rats. As Sister Michelle and everybody's been saying, we know it's from rats, but suddenly in 2026, it's killing people on a ship.
It jumped to humans.
Suddenly it's killing people. Like, what? That makes no sense.
Right.
People have been riding on cruises, and I'm sure there's been a rat on a cruise ship before.
Well, yeah, exactly. Now all of a sudden, it didn't jump from the rat to the humans.
And we don't know, and we don't have treatment or cure for it.
Right. Exactly. That's crazy.
It seems like a setup to me.
Oh yeah, exactly. And then it's not hard to figure out because they did this before. You know what I'm saying? They got, it's like I was saying before, it's an insult because you got away with it the first time, but come on. If you got anything that's coming from an animal to a human, you done tamper with it. Okay? It ain't been jumping. Come on, it's been enhanced. Okay. So anyway,
Brother Leonard, I have one more thing on this that I'm just reading this article as we're talking about this, and Cheryl was speaking of the people that died, right? So on the cruise ship was a 70-year-old Dutch man. He died on the ship on April the 11th. His 69-year-old wife died about 2 weeks later. You ready? In South Africa.
Right. He left. They got off the ship.
Right. Right. And it says her conditions had deteriorated during a flight to Johannesburg.
Right.
Officials said, according to South Africa's health ministry, the wife blood tested positive for the Andes strand of the hantavirus. So here we go again with these strands.
Right. And another thing you got to look at with that information is, did you see? I told everybody about it, but did you see Contagion, the movie they made before?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So remember in the movie how they went back and traced everybody, that person that dealt with from the time they got off the boat to the time they got to where they was at, when they found out who they were and they died. So you have to do that now.
Sir.
So this lady got off the boat. So now you got to look at all the people she didn't interact with before she got to where she got to and died.
Right.
That's a setup.
And then was on a flight to Johannesburg with that. You know what I'm saying?
That's their way of how they're gonna spread it.
I'm sorry.
And she's just one person. You got one that went to California, and you got one that went to Georgia.
Right. And Virginia or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. And then so you got to look up, like I said, they show you these movies for a reason. So they go back, and when you get a chance, you can just go look at the scenes. You ain't got to look at the whole movie. Look at the scenes, and then they traced it. The scientists traced it from the time the person where they was at when they first they got it. Now all the people that they interacted with. So you got to do that with this. She ain't just She didn't just leave the boat and go to where she went and died and didn't interact with nobody. She interacted with a whole bunch of people.
Right.
That's the setup.
Shalom. I know we gotta kind of go to the next one, but again, the time period. So her husband passed away 3 days ago. They say she passed away 2 weeks after. So how long does it stay in the system? For us, they would say the man, how long he had it, then how long she had it. If they were together, and she's 2 weeks, then she passes. And so we know 2 weeks. But for us, the male, her husband, we don't know how long he had it prior and then when she had it. So it could be 4 weeks, it could be a whole month. And they're elderly, like she said about the person, if they're bad health or older, that part there. So we're looking at something that can be prolonged for a whole month if you're conditioned, if you're not very ill. But he also mentioned, she asked the ways he can help. He went straight to putting someone on a ventilator, like they did with COVID. And he named other things. But yes, I'm going to look more into it. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, so anybody else got anything on that before we go? We got to be extra careful. We got to say jab, because we don't want to be looking at 90 days. But anyway, so everybody good on that?
Shalom, brother. Yeah, just one last thing. When you're looking for somebody, the best way to bring them out from under the rock is to tell them if they don't do this, then that'll happen. So again, like with COVID, if they want to find you for anything, if there's a virus out there, people who believe in it and want to, feel like they need to get this, whatever, or go to these places to find out what can be done, they can find them then. They'll just pull everybody from hiding places. If people don't interact, then now they're going to start trying to find if there's some kind of cure or something. So it's back to DNA. Shalom.
Okay. Yeah. So with that being said, we're going to go to our, anybody have any questions and comments, dialogue, anything they want to be heard on during the week they want to talk about, shine a light on?
Shalom, brother. Shalom. When we were talking about, you were talking about or mentioning about the sun god, in Deuteronomy 23:18. I was looking at that. If I can go there really quickly. It says, Deuteronomy 23:18, thou shalt not bring the hire of a whore or the price of a dog into the house of the Lord thy God for any vow, for even both these are abomination unto the Lord thy God. And I was reading a book that talked about, mentioned something about that actual book and verse, and it says, in the act of temple prostitution, the man identified himself with Baal, the woman of Ashtart. It was believed that human pairs, by imitating the action of Baal and his partner, could bring the divine pair together in fertilization unit. So you talk about the sun god. This says that enough has been said to indicate that Canaanite religion was highly erotic, but the eroticism was not just the expression of desire for pleasure through sex, as often in the modern culture. Rather, it was believed that the whole natural spirit to which the existence of the farmer was imminent, intimately bound, was governed by the fatalities of sex, the power of the masculine and the feminine through the sexual ceremonies. Farmers could swing into the rhythm of the agricultural world and even keep those rhythms going through the techniques of religious magic. The kind of magic in question is often called the sympathetic, or im- imaginative, im- imaginative magic. It rests on the assumptions that when persons imitate the action of the gods, a power is released to bring their action about. For example, the rainmaker who, by pouring water from a tree and thereby imitating rain, induces the gods to end a drought. So that took when you said something about that sun god and how they was, worshiping sun gods. Also, this talked about that Canaanite religion for farming. Shalom.
Okay. Anybody else got anything?
Yes, sir. Shalom, Brother Leonard. Can you please break down the difference between call and chosen? Um, can you break that down for me and someone else that may be listening? I did not get into much details, with the person that was asking that question. So I am turning it over to my teacher to break that down, please, sir.
Where you go to Genesis. Go to Genesis chapter 5. Okay. And you'll see that when you understand what happened, the Creator, it says in Genesis 1:26, let us make man in our image after our likeness. And so that we know that the Elohim, that's these 7 angels. But then you get to Genesis chapter 5, and we see that this is the book of the generations of Adam, right? So, like I said, it's a man called Adam, and it's a race of people called Adam. It's a man called Jacob. It's a race of people called Jacob. So you have to understand that. So he says, this is the book of the generation of Adam in the day that God created man in his likeness, made he him, male and female. So this mankind, Adam, he created male and female, and created he them and blessed them and called their name Adam in the day when he had created them. Now here go to man Adam 3, and Adam lived 130 years. Adam, the man Adam, Ha Adam. Adam lived 130 years and begot a son in his likeness after his image, called his name Seth. See that? Called his name Seth. That's what call means. Called his name. And you say, well, what are you talking about? If you go to Genesis chapter 18, look at it right quick. Genesis 18. So it says, the angel, Lord of hosts came, Michael came to Abraham and told him that this time next year, when we're going to start at verse 18 and 9, and they said unto him, where is Sarah? And these 3 angels, especially the Lord of hosts, where is Sarah, thy wife? And he said, behold, in a tent. And he said, I will certainly return unto thee according to the time of life. And lo, Sarah thy wife shall have a son. And Sarah heard it in the tent door, and she was, which was behind her. So he's telling her 9 months. That's how long it takes to have a kid. So he's saying, you're pregnant right now, but in 9 months I'm gonna come back, right? So let's look at it. This is why he called himself. Same process right here when they came to Sarah and they told her she's gonna have a son. So now let's go to 21. 21 says, and the Lord visited. So he told him in 18 he's gonna come back in 9 months. And the Lord visited Sarah as he had said. And the Lord did unto Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah conceived, bore Abraham a son in his old age, and set the time in which God had spoken to him. And Abraham called, see that? Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, which Sarah bore to him, Isaac. So that's why he called him Isaac, because they told him to call him as Isaac. So then we got to go in a little further into that. It says 3. Adam lived 130 years. We got a son in his likeness, after his image and called his name Seth. And the days of Adam after he begot Seth were 800 years, and he begot other sons and daughters. So it's one son. He got other sons and daughters, but this one son, the angel told him, called him Seth, call him Isaac, or call him, Isaac, or call himself. So then, this is a call seed. So we know that when you look at this, all the men that that he's having in Israel are called seeds. Then you got some that's chosen.
Okay.
From the call, everybody called, but then you got some that's chosen.
Okay, that was my next question. Okay, yes, sir.
So let's look at an example there. Okay, so you go to 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 1. 16 and 1, it says, and the Lord said unto Samuel, how long wilt thou mourn for Saul, seeing I have rejected him from reigning over Israel? Fill thine horn with oil and go. I will send thee to Jesse the Bethlehemite, for I have provided me a king among his sons. And Samuel said, how long can I go if Saul hear it, he will kill me. And the Lord said, take a heifer with thee and say, I am come to sacrifice it to the Lord, and call Jesse to the sacrifice, and I will show thee what thou shalt do, and thou shalt anoint him whom I have whom I name unto thee. So this way David was chosen. You see that?
Yes, sir, I do.
And then Aaron was chosen. Then his sons after him was chosen. And give me another example. But like I said, what these people have done is they didn't set the narrative for you to lead you to the New Testament. But when you understand this, it's called and chosen, you can see the difference. So I lost my thought. But anyway, yeah. So when he says he chose David. David was called, and then after that, David was chosen. You see that?
Yes, sir, I understand better. Yes, sir.
Okay, so with that being said, anybody else got anything else before we move on?
Yes, sir, Shalom. My nephew had a question. I don't know how we got on the conversation, but vitiligo, it's been a thing in albinism that we've known about for years. And he was asking me specifically, what is vitiligo? And I let him know what it was.
Right.
And without skipping a beat, his response was, so that's like a curse, but now we call it vitiligo. And I just laughed because when I was going to church and they used to, you'd have movies and all this other stuff, and somebody would say the plague, and call it leprosy. And if you look now in healthcare, they say leprosy is red spots. But growing up, I was told leprosy is white, flaky skin.
Exactly.
So I had always taken vitiligo and albinism, specifically vitiligo, that suddenly you have these white patches out of nowhere. So I'm asking his question for him. Would we say that's what it is? Vitiligo, albinism, specifically in our community.
Right. So you go to Numbers 11. Like I said, everything been hoodwinked because they want to lead you to JC. So and then the people that done this, they white. So they don't want you to understand that. So you go to Numbers chapter 12, verse 10. Okay, the Most High is angry with Aaron. He's angry with Aaron and Moses and Miriam because they're speaking against Moses. So I'm gonna start at verse 8. 7. My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all mine house. So he didn't call all of them out. With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and even mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark sentences. And the similitude of the Lord shall he behold. Wherefore then were ye not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? And here you go. When you understand who the Lord is, Michael, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against them, against Aaron and Moses, Aaron and Miriam, and he departed. So they in front of him, and then the cloud there, he goes up. And when the cloud go up, 10, and the cloud departed from off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam became leprous. This is Village. She black. Before that, she was black. And Miriam became leprous. That's what Village is. White as snow. And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous, right? And Aaron said unto Moses, Atlas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not this sin, so it's sin, upon us. So if one person in there got it, then they didn't brought it into the house. They didn't brought it into the village. So anyway, he says, and Aaron looked upon Miriam and he said, behold, she was leprous. And Aaron said unto Moses, Atlas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not the sin upon us, wherein we have done foolishly and wherein we have sinned. Then let her not be as one dead, of whom the flesh is half consumed. Remember this right here, verse 12. Let her not be as one dead, of whom the flesh is half consumed. So that means half of it is melanin, half of it white. That's Village. So said, let her not be as one dead, of whom the flesh is half consumed when he cometh out of the mother's womb. So you say, the reason I said that, and the reason I read this was, let's go back, show you what they did. I mean, in Genesis chapter 3, Cain. No, 5, I think it is. Okay. Yeah, 5, verse 10. And he said, what hast thou done? He talking to Cain. Cain and killed Abel. What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother blood crieth unto me from the ground. Now thou art cursed, remember that, from the earth, which have opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee strength. A fugitive and a vagabond is all tied to the melanin, to the Village. A fugitive and a vagabond shall thou be in the earth. And Cain said unto the Lord, check it out, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Now here you go. So now right here, like I said, the Lord was standing there, Aaron and Miriam standing there, his anger was kindled. Then he said he left he rose up. When he rose up, Miriam was leprous. So he angry right here. Cain, how much more angry are he now? Cain just killed Abel. So he says, Cain standing before him, then said, behold, thou hast driven me out. Cain gonna tell you, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from the face of shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me. And the Lord said unto him, therefore, whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark. That's the Village, turning white, like he did Mary. Be angry. It says, and the mark upon Cain, lest anybody find him, so kill him. Does that make any sense?
Yes, sir, that does.
So that's how he did it. That's the only way you can get it. And when that happens, and then you go to Leviticus, and he tell you what the Levites got to look for. They look for white spots, blemishes, where the skin is turning white. Part of it black, part of it, they have the melanin where they brown skinned it or dark skinned it, and then and the melanin took over. Something wrong. There's a problem.
Yes, sir. And I have a question. Sorry for the feedback. When we were reading in Kings, and then you and Brother AJ were reading in Kings 2, I noticed what I would call a pattern, for lack of better words, that even with David, there was horrible things happening in his household because of what he did earlier in his life. With Solomon, because of what he did in his life, the kingdom, all of Israel, all the Israelites were no longer under his son's rule. So my question is, in regards to current day, we have children that are born, have all their melanin, and slowly they start getting vitiligo. Is that because of something a parent or even an ancestor long ago did?
Yeah, so that's just another situation as far as going to. It's somebody can Google it right quick. That'll speed up the process. But not Naaman. Find out where they said where he at. I think it's his First Kings. Somebody can Google it. Naaman.
So, Brother Leonard, it is in 2 Kings, chapter 5.
Okay. Chapter 5. Okay. Okay. So this is the story right here of Naaman, right? The cure of Naaman leprosy, right? I'm starting at verse 5. Now Naaman, the captain of the host of the king of Assyria, was a great man with his master and honorable, because by him the Lord had given deliverance unto Syria. He was also a mighty man in valor, but he was a leper, right? He got vitiligo. And the Syrians had gone out by companies and had brought away captive out of the land of Israel a little maid, and she waited on Naaman's wife, and she said unto her master and mistress, "With God, my Lord, were with the prophet, okay, that is in Samaria, for he would recover him of his leprosy," right? And one went in and told his Lord, saying, "Thus and thus said the maid that is of the land of Israel." And the king of Assyria said, Go, and I will send a letter unto the king of Israel. And he departed and took him 10 talents of silver, 6,000 pieces of gold, and 10 changes of raiment. And he brought the letter to the king of Israel, saying, Now, when this letter is come unto thee, behold, I have therewith sent Naaman, my servant, to thee, that thou mayest recover him of his leprosy. And it came to pass, when the king of Israel had read the letter, that he rent his clothes and said, Am I God to kill and to make alive, that this man doeth sin unto me to recover a man of his leprosy? Wherefore consider, I pray you, and see how he seeketh a quarrel against me. And it was so. And when Elisha, the man of God, had heard that the king of Israel had rent his clothes, that he sent to the king, saying, Wherefore hast thou rent thy clothes? Let him come now to me, and he shall know that there is a prophet in Israel. So Naaman came with his horses and with his chariots, and stood at the door of the house of Elisha. And Elisha sent a messenger unto him, saying, Go and wash in Jordan 7 times. Thy flesh shall come again. See that? Thy flesh shall come again unto thee, and thou shalt be clean. So the unclean. Now Naaman was wroth, because he a mighty man. He got, he got a title. So he's saying, you just gonna tell me to go down to the river and wash, right? Then that was a dirty river. So Naaman was wroth and went his way and said, Behold, I thought he would surely come out to me and stand and call on the, see that? So this is what he believed in. And ain't hit no shit. So name of the Lord, his God, and strike his hand over the place and recover the leper, or not. Anbaniah and Porphyria, rivers of Damascus. See, these is great rivers, clean rivers, but Elijah told him to go to another river that's not so, popular. Better than all the waters of Israel. May I not wash in them and be clean? So he turned and went away. Check it out. He turned and went away in rage. And his servant, see that? His servant came near, spoke unto him, and said, My father, if the prophet had said, My father, if the prophet had bid thee to do some great thing, would thou not have done it? How much rather than when he said to thee, Wash thee and be clean. Then went he down, dipped himself 7 times in the Jordan, according to the saying of the man of God, and his flesh came again, like unto the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. So the vitiligo was gone. Now here we go. And he turned to the man of God, he and his company, and came and stood before him, and he said, so now he's talking to Elisha that told him what to do. Behold, now I know that there is no God in all the earth, but in Israel. Now, therefore, I pray thee, check it out, take a blessing of thy servant. Elijah don't want no blessing. There's copacetic to him. So it says, but he said, as the Lord liveth, before whom I stand, I will receive none. And he urged him to take it, but he refused. Now, here you go. And Naaman said, shall there not then, I pray thee, be given to thy servant? So this is servant. 2 mules, burden of the earth, for thy servant will henceforth offer neither burnt offering nor sacrifice unto other gods, but unto the Lord. In this thing the Lord pardon thy servant, that when my master goeth into the house of Rimmon to worship thee, and he leaneth on my hand, and I bow myself in the house of Rimmon, when I bow down myself in the house of Rimmon, the Lord pardoned thy servant in this thing. And he said unto him, Go in peace. So he departed from him a little way. So the servant gonna circle back. The prophet ain't want it. He don't need it. So the servant, 20. But Gehazi, the servant of Elisha, the man of God said, Behold, my master hath spared Naaman the Syrian, is not receiving at his hand that which he brought. But as the Lord liveth, I will run after him and take somewhat of him. So he went and got it. So Gehazi followed after Naaman, and when Naaman saw him running after him, he lighted down from his chariot to meet him and said, Is all well? And he said, All is well. My master have sent me. He lying, right? He lying. My master have sent me, saying, Behold, even now there become to me more me from Mount Zion, from Mount Ephraim, 2 young men of the sons of the prophets. Give them, I pray thee, a talent of silver, 2 changes of garments. And Naaman said, be content, take 2 talents. And he urged him and bound 2 talents of silver in 2 bags with 2 changes of garments, and laid them upon laid them upon 2 of his servants, and they bore him before him. And when he came to the tower, he took them from their hands and bestowed them in his house. And he let the men go, and they departed. But he went in. Now check it out. He went in and stood before his master Elisha. And Elisha said unto him, whence comest thou, Gehazi? And he said, thy servant went no whither. And he said unto him, went not mine heart with thee? When the man turned again from his chariot to meet thee, is it a time to receive money and to receive garments and olive yards and vineyards and sheep and oxen and merchants, men servants and maid servants? Now here you go. So because of that, he lied to Elisha. 27. The leprosy, what Naaman had, the man that he healed him from, the leprosy therefore of Naaman shall cleave unto thee. Check it out. And unto thy seed forever. And he went out from his presence a leper, as white as snow. And there's something?
Brother Leonard, that is something. Yes, sir. Shalom. I knew of this entire story, and I never caught this and unto thy seed forever until just now. Wow. So there are people that will be born with it despite all they did was just get born into the earth. Wow.
It's going to be shown up. Right. Okay. Is there something? Anybody else got anything? Questions, comments?
Brother Leonard, you read Psalms 37 maybe yesterday.
Okay.
No, Sunday. I don't know. It was you read it.
Sunday.
Yes, sir. Okay. And as you were reading it, I just kept feeling like it sounded like encouragement or guidance. And I knew it was from David, but it sounded like guidance or encouragement to Israelites today. So it was something when you went to Psalms 37, verse 39, and then attached that with Michael coming in the time of trouble. And I thought, okay, so we can read that as just encouragement as we're living in this time that we're living in now, because sometimes I will tell you, I have to bite my tongue. I can be a quiet person or I can be a talkative person. And sometimes I have to bite my tongue because I'm frustrated with what I see and what I'm hearing from people. And it's not logical. It doesn't make sense. And it can get me frustrated. So Psalms 37, relating that to Michael coming in the time of trouble, and also just letting people know that, you don't have to worry about evil and wicked people. They'll get what's theirs in the end. And not to serve your anger up to sin or do something out of anger. So that was very helpful to me. I did have a question about, again, terminology. The names of the Lord of Hosts. I know Jehovah is, we learn about that in the Tanakh, but names that I've heard just growing up in the church, like Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Nisi, is all of that still related? And not Elohim, because that's a group of angels. Is all of that still related to the Lord of Hosts?
No, you got, when you go and look at that, it's 7. Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah, that's the 7, that's the Elohim. 7 of them.
Okay. And
each one of them is a different, each one is a different virtue of Yahweh. That takes you to, like I said, the book that I wrote. Those are the 7 spirits. They have different roles. So Jehovah Jireh is one, Jehovah Nisi another one. There's 7 of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's helpful because I had heard so many names growing up.
Right.
And then that question came to my head. Are all those names still related?
Yes,
to the God of Israel.
Right, they're different expressions of the Most High. When he formed them, they all came from him. He formed them from the fire that's from him. There's a different version. One of the things about that is that really dawned on me was, I don't know if you ever seen it, the crystal skulls when they tied to Indiana Jones. You seen that?
Yes, sir.
You seen when they found it at the end, the guy he had a crystal skull, but that crystal skull had a body that it came off of, and then along with that body that was sitting there was 7 of them. And once he put that crystal skull back on top of that body, then all of them came together as one.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
Right. They went boom, 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 boom. They won. So all 7 of them is Yahweh. That's what people are understanding. So a prime example of that is Genesis 32. And that's what people are not really getting. But it says in Genesis 32, okay, it says 32 and 24. And Jacob was left alone, and there was wrestled with a man, right? We notice an angel with him until the breaking of day. And when he saw that he had prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. And he said, let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let him go, except thou bless me. And he said unto him, what is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed. And Jacob asked him and said, tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, wherefore is it that thou didst ask after my name? And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God. See that? For I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. There's an angel there. But because of where he came from, he's just like he met God. Same way with Moses was on Mount Sinai. He came to the mountain of God, but it's an angel on the mountain. So he came face to face to God because of these 7 angels is expressions of him. Okay? Is there something?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Last of my things. There's a Mayday. There's a website, maydaymovementusa.org. Apparently, and that shocked me because Mayday is the group in Handmaid's Tale that's going against basically the system that is in place and growing.
Right.
And I'm reading from their website, starting May 1st, 2025. Join us in letting Washington know we demand the impeachment, conviction, and removal of President Donald J. Trump. And so it's only been here for a year, but they have a full-blown website up. People can join and support. And that was it was something today to me that they call themselves Mayday, and it's a lot. May 1st this year, people protested and and this is a normal thing. It's normal to have May Day on May 1st for workers in America. They've been doing this for hundreds of years, or not hundreds, excuse me, decades. However, it wasn't just about work. It was, again, about no kings and this movement to get rid of Trump's administration. And I thought that's very interesting that they chose the name May Day. And there just happened to be in the protest people dressed up like handmaids. And I thought, well, this is just too much.
Yeah.
It's like they don't have time anymore. You know, people used to talk about, oh, you're just seeing things. It was in a movie. This is just a coincidence. But it's like they don't have time anymore. What we see is happening, and it clearly is something that you had in the movies, like clearly, or in TV series. Same thing with the, I think it, I don't, is it, I don't know the name of the series. You have mentioned it before, but they're living underground. And the man who came up with the entire system, his name is Donald. And that did not hit me until I started rewatching the things. And I said, Donald? Is it a coincidence that Donald Trump is now president? And I don't know. It's just a lot of things that it's interesting to see that it was in these popular series or TV shows and movies.
Okay. Yeah. So we got May Day. The original May Day is when all the white folks got together and they went and cut off Germany. That's the real original May Day. When the whites stood up when Hitler was advancing toward America, and so they got all of them. They all joined on, and you know, that's what actually what the May Day is tied to MAGA. But anyway, yeah. So with that being said, anybody else got anything? So with that being said, I'm gonna let me get this. I want to play this, and then we'll pick a scripture and we'll close out. So we passed 2 hours long. We'll be glad 2 hours. So here we go. I thought this is pretty interesting. Okay.
Why does America have so much hatred for black people? Is it because when you see black people, you're reminded of the sins of this country? Is it because people need a scapegoat for their own shortcomings? Is it because you're afraid that we're going to treat you like you treated us? I'm going to be honest. You know what I think? I honestly think everyone, not just white people, are uneducated. Not stupid, just uneducated about black people. You've been fed false propaganda about black people since the beginning of time in books, music, TV, movies. That shit's powerful.
There is something so insidious happening right now to the black community, and most white people literally have no idea it's even happening. The black community is under attack right now at a level we haven't seen probably since the Civil Rights era. Exactly. You know, with the Supreme Court gutting the Voting Rights Act earlier today, you've got the purge of black federal workers, attacks on nonprofit funding with the whole DEI boogeyman. Exactly. You've got attacks on the social safety net. Overt racism is on the rise across the board. And they're tired, y'all. They are exhausted by this onslaught. And it's self-proclaimed white Christians leading the charge against them on all of these fronts. So if you are a white Christian and you are not deceived by Trump, we need to rally together around our black brothers and sisters right now. We need to form a wall around them, and we need to say no more. No more, because this isn't right, and we cannot stand by and do nothing as they are getting absolutely pummeled like Reconstruction just ended or something.
Okay, so according to the Bureau of Prison Statistics from last month, 38.3% of our current inmate population is Black, but according to the 2020 census data, only 12.2% of our national population is Black. So if you don't believe in white privilege, how do you explain this disparity?
So why are they in jail?
It has been this way for years, since the 90s.
No, why do people go to jail?
Why are Black people in jail at higher rates than white people?
That's the question, right? Maybe because they commit more crimes than white people.
But that's not true. It actually is.
Yes, they do. So every independent analysis shows that Blacks have committed a disproportionate amount of crime. No one wants to say it out loud, but it's true. In fact, in New York, 52% of murders are committed by Blacks, 40+% of arson, 60+% of drug deals. And so the question you should really be asking is what drives them to commit crimes? That's the question, right?
And this is why they hate Blacks in America so much, the white power structure. We're the only non-white people in the country who cannot be sent home. Right. You cannot be deported. Slavery destroyed your cultural, psychological, and intellectual connection to your ancestral homeland. If the Ghanaian get on your nerve, he go back to Ghana. If the Puerto Rican gets on your nerves, he go back to Puerto Rico. If the Afro-Cuban gets on your nerves, he or she go back to Cuba. If the Chinese get on your nerves, send them back to China. If the East Indian gets on your nerves, send them back to India. If the Arab gets on your nerve, send them back to one of the Middle Eastern states. But when American Africans get on your nerves, where do you deport us to? Most American Africans are so brainwashed, they think they're American. So you cannot deport them because this is what they identify with most. So in other words, the white man created his own problem, which makes it almost impossible to deport us. So the only way to get rid of us is a systemic system of racial genocide, and that's what they're using.
Built on racism, fueled by fear and sustained by white supremacy. You've exposed it all. The masks are off. The polite racism, the fake allyship, the colorblind lies, it's all gone.
Located in Sugar Land, Texas. This is going to be important. Pause. I need y'all to buckle up, Buttercup. I'm going to share a video with you that I just learned. And I am a native goddamn Texan, and I did not know this. So this is education for me as well as y'all. Pause, my babies.
There's a town in Texas called Sugar Land. There was some land that was owned by the Fort Bend, Texas School District. Before it was owned by the school district, it was the Texas Central State Prison. But before it was that, it was called Imperial Farm, work farm for convict laborers. But before it was that, it was a sugar plantation. All of the labor was provided by slave labor. Sugarcane harvesting and milling is backbreaking and dangerous work. But after the Civil War, the slaves were freed. The Southern elites needed a way to get free labor, and they invented a system called convict leasing. It was a system where the state would arrest somebody, usually a black man. Instead of housing them at the penitentiary, they'd send them to these prison farms. People did not last very long. Many of them died within days, weeks, or months of actually arriving there. So fast forward into the mid-2000s, and they were breaking ground for this new school building in Sugar Land, and lo and behold, one of the guys saw a bone sticking up out of the ground. They found a mass grave with 95 sets of remains, and it turned out that these people had been imprisoned at the Imperial Farm. They called it the Imperial Farm because it was owned by the Imperial Sugar Company, which is still in existence and is now a $1 billion public company.
Here's a delicious looking apple, right? We boiled it for...
You're thinking, what school was built on that ground that was broken in 2000 that used to be a burial site for enslaved Black folk? Pause yet again, Bouquet. It's the God University of Houston at Sugar Land. It was built on the very ground where our people lost their lives harvesting goddamn sugar cane to make imperial sugar. And just to give you an idea, this is the racial demographic of the population in Sugar Land. Great. So when I say, and other Black folks say, everything in the United States of America is based on race and racism, because the foundation of the United States of America is racism. We know what the we talking about.
When you try to see
Okay. Anybody got anything on that? Okay, we're gonna pick a scripture. Somebody got a scripture they want to read. We're gonna pick that scripture, we're gonna break it down, then we'll close out. Anybody got a scripture they want? Shine a light on?
Shalom, brother. Deuteronomy chapter 28. And it talks about the chastisement in the land. I'll start right here. It says, verse 15, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments, his statutes, and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. And through 16 through about it's like long, all the different curses that the Lord said that he would put upon these people. And I'm gonna get to this part. 45. So everything from 1 to 45 is all the curses to the children, to the land, and to all of that. And it says 45, moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and they shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. But I'm stopping there because you had gone through and read all the different places where when we talked about the melanin and that leprosy, that this curse is this is a curse that God, and it really shows, the Lord of hosts really shows that JC is not who the New Testament professed that he is, because if he was, then this would be going on into a New Testament, because he says forever thy seed. Shalom.
Right. So that verse, can you read 15 again?
Yes, sir. That was 45. You want me to go to number 15 back?
Okay,
But
just
it
in
shall come
28.
to
Deuteronomy
Yes, I was
28.
in 28, and I started verse 15, but I just read that part. I'll go back and read 15 again. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So it says, who voices they listening to?
The voice of the Lord of thy God.
Who is that?
It says here, the Lord of hosts.
Okay, so you go back to Exodus 23 and 20. This is what a lot of people don't know. Can somebody read 23 and 20?
Yes, sir. 23 and 20. Yes, sir. And it says instructions and promises. Behold, I send an angel before thee to keep thee in the way and to bring thee unto the place which I have prepared. That's chapter 23, verse 20. Go on.
Yeah.
Beware of him and obey his voice and provoke him not. Or he will, yes, sir. He will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him.
So Yahweh came down on Mount Sinai, and when he left, he gave them instructions to deal with this angel, the Lord of hosts, obey his voice. So that's the voice that they're dealing with in Deuteronomy 28 and 15.
Yes, sir.
Yahweh gone.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. So with that being said, I'm gonna say shalom to everybody. Then I'll see everybody with next Thursday for our Women's Advanced Bible Study. Okay, they try to build on it. So with that being said, I'm gonna say shalom, shalom, and another shalom. Okay.
Shalom, everyone. Good class. Thank you.
Thank you. Good class. Shalom, everyone.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it because it's a must that you understand who the God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament and Tanakh, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel. And it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is and the Godhead.